What if that is like literally the only good thing in your life?
Like, I mean, no judgment lah, but there's more to life than just one guy or one girl. Hi. Hello, I'm Kai.
Hi, nice to meet you, Melanie. Or you
Yeah.
can call me Mel.
Okay.
Both to answer, what are 3 words to describe you?
I am spontaneous, but anxious, and well, it's not really a word, but like all over the place.
I think I try to be conscientious. I try to be open-minded, and I'm also quite an anxious person like you.
Both to answer, what is something that excites you?
I think when it's a interesting new idea or a new perspective that I've never thought of before. But especially anything related to games or writing or literary stuff.
Okay. I think something that excites me is I like meeting new people. So when I find someone who shares the same interests as me on a really cerebral level, I'm like, oh my gosh, I get so excited. We could just keep on talking about it on and on. And especially in this day and age or so, people, they cross paths and everything, but it's very fleeting.
Yeah.
To me, in my own experience, I don't think there's this emphasis on forging really meaningful connections. It's just more of hi, bye, see you at the party and everything. You know, it's sad, but I guess that is the reality of the matter. Yeah. Give your honest opinion of the person sitting opposite you, both to answer. Ooh, these are hard questions.
I think that you are also a pretty open-minded person. It seems like you're also open to listening to perspectives that you might not agree with.
Yeah.
So I feel like you are the kind of person that I would like to be friends with.
Oh my gosh. Likewise. No, I feel like we really vibe. We have things in common, and then it's very comfortable talking to you and everything. And I feel
Very chill.
likewise, I do feel like you are also a very open-minded person, and I feel like you are a good and active listener.
Thank you. Okay, both to answer. What would you do if you found yourself falling out of love with someone?
Honestly, I'll be honest about it. If you don't tell your partner about it, then you're just gonna be stuck with them. You're gonna be unhappy.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm gonna say I feel like this is not I don't think this is working out because the feelings that I have for you weren't as strong as before. Maybe we could talk things out about why that is. See what we can do about it, and if not, let's just call it a day. Yeah.
Same. I actually had this conversation with my husband, and then we just said, let's just be honest about it with each other. Yeah. Then we can figure out what is the root cause of it, and then try to work it out in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if it really doesn't work out, then at least we tried lah.
Yeah. Both to answer, do you think that communication plays an important role in a relationship?
Yes, 100%. And I think a lot of people don't understand how much communication is needed in a relationship, right? Until they are in a healthy one. For my current partner, my husband, he has never been a very good communicator. He's just this very quiet, reserved person. We've been together for 6-7 years already, and he only recently started to open up a bit more in certain aspects because I kept pushing him to communicate better. Yeah, so that's when I realized that, oh, okay, we actually need to have conversations like that beforehand. Things that I myself, even though I might thought I have said it, but I might not have communicated it very well.
Yeah. I think communication to me is the number one thing. Because it is a two-way thing. So to me, it is the most important thing to communicate and communicate effectively with your partner.
Will you ever forgive someone who has cheated on you? Why or why not?
I don't like to hold grudges and everything.
So tiring.
It's so tiring. Once we're out of a relationship, right, I'm not gonna think about you anymore. Especially if it's like a cheating situation. Okay, if it's like a very amicable breakup, of course I'm gonna like think of you sometimes, like, oh, we shared good times. But like if it's like a cheating situation, I'm the hurt party here. You did the cheating. I'm not gonna spend any more time like thinking about you. I'll probably like hear you out and everything. I understand your position. I'll forgive you, sure, because I'm not hateful. I'll just wish them good luck and I'll just see myself out of the door, because yeah, I will forgive them, but I'll never forget.
Yeah. What have you done for the past relationships where you found out that you were cheating on
Oh
them?
my gosh, the first one was terrible. The first one, like, I was a mess. It was more of like, why did you do this and everything? But at the same time, I still wanted to be in the relationship. I still like told myself, oh, I can make this work, I can make this work. I just have to change myself. And then I realized that, you know what, I shouldn't be doing all of that just to please this person.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it depends on the reason. And I think I can only say this, right, because I have been in a committed relationship for 7 years, and I know how it feels like for both parties to make the effort. I mean, there's no excuse for cheating. You should definitely never cheat. It's morally wrong and everything. But that said, I feel like I wouldn't say 100% I will not forgive. I might continue a relationship because I don't like to say absolutely like no for everything. I feel like there will always be a chance. It's a moment of weakness, and then like why there were problems in the relationship in the first place. Maybe he felt like he couldn't communicate with me because of how I have reacted to his previous ways of communicating. I think I will still try to work it out. But if I feel that, like what you said, I can no longer trust this person and I feel like I need to constantly be like vigilant, the relationship gets too exhausting to be in, then yeah, definitely will not be able to continue. Yeah.
Explain why cheating should or should not be tolerated regardless of a relationship's issues.
So for you, you think it shouldn't be tolerated?
Yes. I think it's more of like, why would you do that act in the first place? Okay, you know, there are problems and everything, but to me, like, cheating shouldn't be in the equation at all. He shouldn't resort to cheating because like he's not getting like what he wants out of you. If anything, he should communicate with you better.
Both to answer, when a relationship ends where cheating is involved, who do you think is to blame for the end of the relationship?
I mean, I think you would probably know my answer already.
The cheater, right?
Yes. Like, would you say otherwise?
I would say majority is the cheater's fault. The other thing is, I feel like most of the cases, no cheater is out on the prowl like, today I'm going to cheat on you. Like, I feel like the falling out of love and then developing feelings for someone else happens gradually and might even happen without you realizing. So I feel like those kinds of cheating is out of your hands in a certain way. For physical cheating, I don't know what to say about that because for me, I think that
it's just a
you
no-no.
are like crossing a very big boundary.
Yeah, I really cannot excuse like any form of cheating. Like I said, I may understand the situation, and if it's that kind of situation, right, I'm pretty sure there's like another way, maybe an external party, like not in a cheating way, but like more of like an intervention sort of thing. Like, I cannot bring myself to cheat. I just have to be like honest with the situation. If I do, right, it's really gonna come at the expense of like the other party. Have you ever been in a situation where cheating could be excused or explained? How did that situation make you feel? And you're supposed to answer that question.
I think that the situation where I gradually fall out of love with a person and started liking someone else happened to me. It was like a very gradual process to the point where I didn't really realize it. But what was the root cause of it? The relationship was so toxic to the point where I feel like I couldn't stay anymore, and for whatever reason, right, back then my emotionally immature mind was like, I have to marry this guy, like this is the guy I'm gonna marry. I think I was finding a reason to leave the relationship. But the thing is, I was honest about it. I told my then boyfriend that I have a new close friend who is a guy, and I feel like we share a lot in common and we talk a lot. And he was very insecure. But I felt like the expectation of the relationship was that for every free hour that I have to spend with him. I think I had the very like rebellious streak, like it's not wrong to me, so I'm gonna do it, like I don't care.
Okay.
You know, and then we just argue a lot, like a lot of arguments. But at the same time, I was still feeling like this is the guy I'm gonna marry for whatever reason. I don't know why. Like I felt like I couldn't leave the relationship. But then eventually I was like, I enjoy spending time with this other guy more than I enjoy spending time with you. Even though I felt like I was still not out of love with him yet. So I just had a conversation with him and be like, hey, I think we need to break up lah. I think for me, the thing with the other guy was more of a catalyst to the end of the relationship. Rather than the reason for the end of the relationship.
At least in the end, you were honest and you were decisive about it. Like, at least you knew that, okay, this is not what I wanted. So like, let's just break up. Like, I wouldn't call it cheating. To what extent do you think it's possible to rebuild trust after infidelity?
It's only possible, right, if both parties are willing to change. One is willing to forgive the other person is willing to do whatever it takes.
I mean, like, I don't know, I just really can't get over the whole cheating part of it. It's this like idea of like the destruction of trust and honesty. And to me, who's to know like they're not gonna cheat again? I don't want to subject myself to that sort of uncertainty.
But do you feel like once a cheater, always a cheater?
I would say in most cases, yes. Because I feel like if it's that easy for you to like give into the temptation of cheating, it's very hard for you to sort of like reform yourself because you're already acting on your impulses. That tells you what kind of person you are, and I don't think I can be with someone like that.
But I think what I will not agree is the fact that once a cheater, always. I don't agree with that because, like I said, I have my attachment style is anxious, right?
Yeah.
Basically, you have to give someone with an anxious attachment style like a lot of love and care for that person to feel secure in the relationship. And after I read that, I felt like it was really true because only in my current relationship did I feel secure. And did I feel like I personally can fully 100% commit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there might be cases where they don't feel secure and that's why they cannot fully 100% commit. But maybe you just need to find the right person.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. If the temptation to cheat is already present, why not just break up with the person instead of cheating?
One could be you didn't even realize.
Yeah.
The other one is you might be in a situation that you just couldn't get out of. Because of culture.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely know that in certain cultures it's very, very frowned upon. Probably could get you kicked out of the community if you divorce with your husband or your wife. Yeah, I mean there might be circumstances that, like the kids, very misguided reason for a lot of people probably. A lot of people probably feel like it's better for the kids to stay together rather than break up and have your other relationship lah. Which I mean, both is bad lah.
But then my other train of thought would be, why cheat in the first place? If it's a financial thing, if it's a kids thingy, right, everything, like, shouldn't the priority then be on yourself, on surviving, or on your kids surviving? Like, why look to like another guy or another girl? I don't think finding love should be at the top of the priority list for anyone in a very sensitive situation or like a risky situation.
What if that's like literally the only good thing in your life, keeping you from feeling like this life is not worth living because everything else sucks?
But that one quite extreme leh.
You know, like,
I mean, like, how,
I feel like there are people in situations like that, you know what I mean?
I mean, maybe lah, but like really like to like, I mean, no judgment lah, but there's more to life than just one guy or one girl.
But for people in a restrictive community,
Yeah.
in such a situation, I think we don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is just me speaking as someone who is more acquainted with like my immediate community, but in that sort of like isolated culture or like incident or anything, I wouldn't know how to respond to something like that. To me, like, you know, I may say like cheating, like, you know, all cheating is bad, everything, but it's unfair for me to like impose that on someone who literally has no way out.
After hearing from each other, what are your thoughts on the matter and how does it compare to what you thought before the conversation?
I've gained a lot more like perspective on the issue because like I feel like previously I was very firm about my stance about cheating being absolutely wrong. Now I'm led to understand that, you know what, to hold absolutes on certain things may be problematic in itself because like you might not really understand like the nuances of certain scenarios, certain like circumstances.
I think for me, I feel like I have broadened my perspectives as well because I've also never really spoken to someone who has been cheated on. So I think it's interesting to hear like how the experience was like even though it was negative, but yeah.
Do you think we should have conversations with people who disagree with our beliefs?
Yes, I think we should. I feel that only when you talk to people who has a different point of view and you hear their arguments and hear their points, right, then can you form like a stronger judgment for yourself on that particular subject.
Yeah.
But if you just hear like the opinions that you think are right and you just live in an echo chamber, then you are not really seeing the whole picture and then forming the judgment.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I feel also like you're just gonna be like stuck in this like bubble. I would say it's important to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is how we grow.
Last question, do you think you can be friends with me? Yes, definitely.
Yes.
We are friends, right?
Yes, we are friends. It's just impossible for me to continue this relationship because it was a long distance relationship.
Oh.
Yeah, and like I can't spend quality time with you. I can't even get the physical touch. What's there for me to do?